Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're a big fan of the Castlevania series, especially Castlevania Nocturne, I highly recommend that you go check out the series on Netflix. There's 2 seasons now. That's what I'll be discussing in today's video. So if there's spoilers, I want to make sure that you guys know ahead of time before we get into the video. That being said, today's topic is going to be about Drolta and just kind of where I feel about her betrayal of Eszrebet, and if I feel like it was convoluted or do I feel like she actually planned it out. So without further ado, let's get started. So in my previous video, I talked about how Drolta, first of all, so happy that she came back. I didn't think she was going to come back in the first place because, again, season 1, Alucard reduced her to ash. So the odds of her coming back were very slim, but hey, they made it happen. What really has people scratching their heads and asking questions is the big plot twist. Well, it was a semi-plot twist, but she basically, in the midst of Eszrebet was about to lose. Like, she was going to concede to Sekhmet, like it was a wrap. At that time, Drolta in that moment said, you know what? Your powers, Sekhmet, they were mine this entire time. She ends up betraying Eszrebet on the spot and then gaining Sekhmet's power, and then she gets yet another sickening transformation. I didn't even have enough time to go over the night creature form that she got. Just sickening. They ate down with Drolta. I cannot stress that enough. Like, she is just chef's kiss. Like, I'm telling you, whoever was behind conceptualizing her, they knew what the assignment was and they passed straight A's 100%, actually 120%. So anyways, she ends up taking on Sekhmet's powers and becomes the goddess, the she who mauls, the lioness. What is she? Vampire lioness, she who mauls. I'm gonna memorize that and say that in one of my videos next time, I promise y'all. So anyways, what's really having the community scratch their heads is this something that she just did on the fly? Did she plan it out? Has she always had the intentions of betraying Eszrebet? Or did the creators kind of, I don't know, like a deus ex machina, I guess would be the phrase. Did they just kind of like throw something in there and hope it would stick? I'm going to try my best to try to break down my perception of things, especially because we did get her backstory. Now, again, I am not a Castlevania, historian. I'm not going to give you like a full in-depth review, but I will give you my interpretation. So in a nutshell, Drolta was a priestess for the goddess Sekhmet. She had like a coven. At the time, it was kind of like a priesthood or priestesshood. So she was basically focusing on more of like the healing, because Sekhmet in their religion, especially Egyptian mythology, was the goddess of war and healing. So before she turned into a vampire, her sole purpose was to support the people and be a healer. And she was very devout to Sekhmet, almost in the same vein that, no shade to Mizrak, but the same way Mizrak is a devout Catholic and is unmoving and unyielding, that's how Drolta is with Sekhmet. Sekhmet is her goddess, right? So she started off truly just devout to Sekhmet, and what really, I think, twisted her a bit was when vampires attacked their, I don't know if it's like it was a building of worship, right? So they attacked them, killed all of the other priestesses. Her entire community got wiped out, and she was praying to Sekhmet and said, make me strong like you. And she took that as an opportunity for her to, again, she backed a vampire into a corner, killed him, and then drank his blood, and that's when she transformed into a vampire. And so in that moment, I believe she got her confirmation that Sekhmet sent that vampire as a means to make her stronger, and some way, somehow, that gave her the confirmation that, you know what, it's my sole responsibility to bring her back into the mortal plane. I don't know how she got that, I guess that messaging, but that's how she took it. And she mentioned that centuries go by and she has tried different vessel after different vessel, and they'll drink her blood and then they end up exploding because they can't handle that kind of power. And then she ran across Eszrebet, who Eszrebet in her human life was vile, evil, disgusting, and I believe that she was actually Eszrebet is actually a real life individual. I have not looked her up, but saw in some of the comments that there was an Eszrebet Bathory that was quite villainous, murderous, and just, it matched. So she ends up finding her, and she feels like she would be a worthy vessel, and in a sense she was right, because Eszrebet was able to take on I believe 2 fragments of Segment's soul without combusting. And, obviously Eszrebet in her own right was a very powerful vampire. And again, she was just able to handle the power. But what really kind of piques my interest, or really makes me feel like, oh, maybe, just maybe, Drolta has been sitting back and waiting for that perfect vessel, to where maybe that vessel can get perfected. So maybe get all 3 parts of Segment. And the moment that, basically when she has a moment to strike, that's when she's going to take on Segment's power for her own. I would like to believe that's the case. And that's only because of the dialogue that she gave Eszrebet right before she betrayed her. She kind of went on this monologue about how, I waited for centuries, I found you, and I thought that you would be the person to do it. But, I was wrong. And honestly, your power has always been my power. And that's where I want to focus on. She said, your power has always been mine. So that tells me that, okay, so it's been in Drolta's mind for centuries that was going to be the plan all along. I do wish that maybe we could have seen a little bit of hints of it in season 1. The problem is that she just seems so devout over Eszrebet and such a staunch supporter. And of course, Drolta did not plan to get killed by Alucard. But what were the odds of her getting killed by Alucard and then also being brought back by the abbot? Because we've never seen a vampire get brought back and turned into a night creature, yet alone retain their memories and their personality. Like, that is kind of a plot hole in my opinion. I'm not too upset about it because, again, Drolta is sickening and she served what she needed to serve. But it does beg a lot of questions like, okay, so vampires can be turned into night creatures. Why haven't we done that before? Hell, there was a lot of vampires that got slain season 1, season 2, some of them in the past. Why not take those dead bodies and convert them into night creatures? And I know that the abbot, my interpretation is, it's not that they can't be turned, it's just that they will not obey him in the ways that the night creatures obey him. But even that in itself is a problem, because the abbot is not really a forge master in the same way that Hector and Isaac were from the original Castlevania series. He didn't have the same type of skill set. If I'm not mistaken, he ended up he ended up getting that machine after bartering some deal with the devil. They didn't really go into detail about how he got that machine. And I know that there was some mix up with Annette and, her gods trying to snatch that thing back into hell. But the point that I'm making is the abbot isn't really a forge master in the first place. So I'm not even sure how the night creatures that he ends up converting are actually obeying him. And we're noticing that because even Edouard, he retained his memories and he also isn't necessarily loyal to the abbot. That being said, because I'm going on a little side tangent, there are some holes here. There are definitely some holes on where she got the, when did you decide that this is going to be the plan, right? And I'm hoping, well, she's already dead now. They killed her at the end of the season. But it would be nice if the creators would do some type of Q&A and just kind of give us a little bit more context, so that way we can swallow that pill a little bit better, because it did seem a little convoluted. I'm going to go with my initial theory is it was her intention to bring back Segment all along. However, because she saw that Eszrebet was not Segment in that moment, because Eszrebet was cowering, she was doing a lot of, things that just were not goddess-like. So she decided to just take it upon herself and then become Segment herself. So I do feel like it was always in the back of her head, hey, if my vessels don't work out, I'll do it myself. But if it does work out, I'll sit back and let Segment do her thing when she comes back to the mortal plane. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that I'm far off base? I feel like the community as a whole has had that similar kind of head scratchy, this doesn't make sense. So I hope that I kind of helped contextualize or just kind of verbalize what the community's been feeling. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And of course, there's going to be more Castlevania videos coming throughout the month. Let me know in the comments, who do you want me to talk about next? There's so many characters, not just in Nocturne, but in Castlevania as a whole, that I would love to give my opinion on. I will be working on a couple of videos regarding Annette, even the Abbot. Oh, I have a good video for him specifically for him that I'm going to work on and can't wait to share with you guys. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. As always, it's always a pleasure. Stay friendly in the comment section, share with your friends. Really appreciate that engagement, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Take care.